FusionPro Expression is our image personalization product that can be used to customize images such as writing in the clouds or writing in the snow and many other types of images. We can output for print in high res. We can output in low res if you are going to use those images in a personalized URL campaign or an email campaign. Let's go through some of the features of the product. Here you see we have a personalized image that is basically writing in the clouds, right? So in the application you can see we have a foreground image, which is kind of hard to see. We have our personalized image and we have our background image. Now if the background image is turned off, you can clearly see the foreground image. And you can clearly see the personalized image. Now we have multiple ways of creating these images. If we click right here, we can see that we have image characters, masking text, fill path, nodes and path tiles, textures. This particular one is fill path, and the idea here is that you assign a font and then you assign some little puffs, and they're very hard to see, but they're right down here, and you can see I have 6 of these little puffs, different sizes, different shapes. And what happens is as you lay out the font, our system's going to trace that font with the little puff. So if we turn our images back on, you can pretty clearly see that, and if I refresh, it randomizes these puffs, so it'll have a different look, as you can see, each time I do the refresh. Now the points here are used for bending, and you can add points simply by right clicking and say add a Y point, and then you can use these for bending the image. So if you had to bend it around a texture or bend it around a pole, or bend it around whatever you're going to bend it around, that's what you're going to use these points for. You can clearly see that that's making it look like it's a little wind blown. Now, as I said, fill paths is just one of the options. You can change the font here and have a completely different look. If you had a script font, this would have a different look. Let's open up another item. We'll say open template. No, I don't want to save that one. And we'll go to animal letters. Now this particular one uses image characters. And in image characters, what we're doing is we are replacing the character with an image. So you can see the image down here. This is for an A. As we scroll down, we have a B and a C and a D and an E. And you could effectively have a handful of E's, or a handful of any other letters really, and the system would customize or randomize through those characters so that you wouldn't have 2 E's in a row that look exactly the same. And once again, you can add the XY points to this. So if I wanted to bend this around a little bit, we certainly could. And once again, no matter what kind or style of image personalization you're using, you can work in high or low res for print and for electronic means. Let's take a look at another method. This one is called nodes and paths, and this is one of the more complex concepts here. If we take a look, we can see that my A and Avery and the V and the E, they look like characters, but not perfect. And you wouldn't want them to look perfect in this particular case. So here's how this works. We get down to the letter A right there. What you're doing is you're going to tell it so we've used a font. We used a hand scene font, true type font. And what we're doing is it's showing us the path of the font, and we're adjusting this a little bit so that it's not quite perfect. If we take a look at the B, just not quite perfect. If it were perfect, it would look, too odd on the page. And you can move these points, you can add new points, so that when it uses these little drops, and it's randomizing drops is what it's doing. So again, if I hit a refresh, it's going to look a little different each time, even though I'm not changing the characters. It's randomizing the text, but it's using the nodes that we've put over the characters. Okay, so a little bit more complicated to set up, but has a great output and great look. Let's take a look at a different one. This one, let's see. This one is using tiles. Now, the whole idea of tiles is that we have this grid looking pattern. If I turn off, and we can actually turn off the view of the points too. So here you can see we have a background that is very much in a grid pattern. And what we would do is we would draw a grid over top of it so that, we match that grid pattern. And then when we add the personalization falls within the grid and kind of makes it look like it's, inside of the grid, in this case inside the window behind the grid. Okay, so that one's called tiles. And here you can see how it would look. And here you see how it looks without. You can see that the tiles have been put into the characters. Okay, so tiles. We'll open a different one. This one is using what's called masking text. So we have an image in the background that is the building that has, again, what looks like tiles, but in this particular case it's not tiles. And we can go in and we can adjust. Here you're seeing the background image, and you can brighten that image to kind of give it a little different look. All right, and if you don't want that, darken, coloring. So again, a lot of control over what it is you're doing. This is masking text. Masking text can take on a lot of different looks. Once again, you're masking a image within the text to put over top of the piece that you're doing. Here you can see it without the background. Now, once we get to the point where we like what we have, then we're going to output. Now, there's a couple different ways you can output here. If you have FusionPro VDP Creator, you can output directly to the application, and it will make the call in and pull the, give it the variable and pull in the image. But if you're working in an application that's not FusionPro, or if you're doing emails or some other method, Pearls, let's say, what you're going to do is start the producer, and you're going to give a list, that has the names that you want to feed to it, and then give the output path where you want them to go. Tell it what format you want, JPEG, TIFF, PNG, EPS. Tell it the quality, the DPI, etc. As I said, you can output low or high res. And then you would create a new job, and it would create the images into that folder. And then you would use whatever means you have to produce this in the email, writing some script to call the images in or whatever it is you're going to do. Now, again, you can do high res or low res. So if it's, if you're working in an application other than FusionPro, once again, you would point to the subdirectory and pull the images in that are there. Okay, that concludes the demonstration of FusionPro Expression. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day.